Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the most famous and influential man in all of history. The man who we base our time off of, and the man who has personally changed my life and the lives of many others. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Jesus Christ and why he is the one true way to God. In the book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, the authors used the example of how in times before mass communication that the king used to put his special seal on a message to confirm that the message was from him. And then they said that God does the same thing in this world with all of these different religions. If he wants to confirm a message that is from him, he does things and shows it with signs that only God could do. And we can see that he supported this in the life of Jesus and his claim to be God and from God, that this isn't just an empty claim, but that it was proved through miraculous signs and miracles and the very fact that he was resurrected from the dead. And in this speech, I'm just going to use the life of the disciples, archaeological findings, and just intuition in itself to kind of support that the resurrection was actually a thing that actually happened. And the first point that I have is the death of Jesus' disciples. Here's the PowerPoint for that. These disciples were beaten and scourged and beheaded and crucified and speared and stabbed to death. And the question that I have is, if Jesus didn't actually resurrect from the dead, what motive would the disciples have for living this life? In Judaism, there was prophecy of a coming Messiah. And if Jesus didn't resurrect from the dead and they knew that he wasn't actually the Messiah, what benefit did they have for following him to the point of death? What reason and what benefit did they have? They had everything to lose and they had absolutely nothing to gain. And for me, I think that that is the main evidence. Why would people live a life like this, following a man that they knew wasn't who he claimed to be and who didn't do what he said he was going to do? That's the first point of evidence. And on top of that, in March of 1947, one of the greatest archaeological findings of all time was discovered, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls. And here is my PowerPoint on that. And there were all different types of things that were involved in that. But the thing that I'm going to focus on today is the book of Isaiah. And the reason that this is so incredible and so important is because through archaeology, they were able to discover that this book was written, or the copy of the book of Isaiah was written around 100 BC, which is before Christ even came on this earth. And in chapter 53 of Isaiah, there is a very clear prophecy on the life of Jesus, the death that he would die, and also that he would resurrect from the dead in verse 11 of that. And I strongly encourage you to read that because, if this is the original book of Isaiah was written far before 100 years, but even 100 years, if a book was written 100 years predicting exactly how someone would die, why they would die, and that they would resurrect from the dead, how else could this happen besides God influencing that person? And this is along with all different types of other prophecies, but I'm going to stick with that one today. And the final point that I have is Christ's impact today and how he fills the empty hole in our heart. And here's my slide on that. Sadly, many people go about life trying to find fulfillment in things, finding fulfillment in women. Women try to find it in men. We try to find it in status and how people think of us. But it never fulfills. It may feel good, but it's fleeting. It goes away. It never lasts. And this is because we were made by God and for God. We were created to be in a personal relationship with God. And as long as we don't have that, there's nothing else that can fulfill us. Things can make us feel good, but the joy and the peace, the lastingness that we're looking for and the fulfillment is only found in Christ. He fulfills us. He gives us meaning, and he ultimately completes us. And since I only had 6 minutes to share all of this, I could only share a few things, so I shared what I thought was most impactful to me and what was most influential to me in my own personal faith. And I just wanted to share with you guys that Jesus isn't a fairy tale or just something that is just said. Like, he was an actual person who is logically, intuitively, historically, morally, and scientifically true. And all of the things that he said, his life is backed up by all of these things. And if what Jesus said was true, then this thing is a matter of life and death. I encourage you to put your trust in him. In John 6, Jesus says that the work of God is to believe in the one that he sent. Put your trust in him. And it's not only saying, I believe, but it's an act of giving over your life to him and trusting him alone to save you from death. And so I thank you guys for listening. I hope that this sparks something in you to look after and to seek after God for yourselves. I hope that you would look on what you are standing on and that you would see if what you personally believe in is backed up by evidence. I encourage you to read the book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, and to seek God for yourself. Thank you.